Hello everybody, welcome back. This week we're going to be forging a reproduction of an Anglo-Saxon blacksmith's anvil. Here's a reference image culled off the internet, and we're going to be forging this from wrought iron as per the originals. So I'm using some 18th century wrought iron. I'm actually using a piece of paddle rod, which is where I get all my wrought iron from. I have to remake these for the canal every now and then, as the original ones start to age a bit. And I'm cutting off a square section off the end, which is about 5.5 inches long and is about 1.25 inches square if I remember rightly. So to start with, I will heat one end of that. And after a bit of a scrub, I will start forging out a taper. And this is the bottom end of the anvil, obviously, which is going to stick into a stump. Now, I'm not forging this to a sharp taper. At this stage it doesn't really matter anyway, because it's going to get a bit upset in a bit. But you don't actually want a sharp point anyway, because you don't want it to drive any further into the stump than you want as you use it. So with the taper forged, I will quench off that end and just keep a couple of inches of heat on the top end, and I will turn it round and heat the end that I'm going to work. So I will then start upsetting this back on itself to get a nice big bulk of iron at the top. And I want this anvil to have a bick on the end as per the image. So I'm upsetting it at a bit of an angle, as you can see here. It's not a mistake, it's purely by design. And once I've upset it to about 2 inches square, 2.5 inches square, I will then push that angle down, and that will give me more material on the one side, which can then become the bick. So after upsetting, I will also dress the sides. I want it to be rectangular rather than square. So with that done, I will reinstate that taper, which, as you saw, was de-tapified by the upsetting process. I'll go in here at the transition with my shoe turning hammer, just get a nice round transition in there. I don't think the Anglo-Saxons would have bothered making that transition that neat, but to the modern eye it looks like it's not finished properly if you don't clean up the transitions. So here we go at the stage. This is the wrought iron component formed. So now we need to face it, and for this I'm using a big old rasp, which I will cut down to size. Now, prior to welding it on, I will take the working face of it and I will just grind off those teeth, because as I'm forging down, those teeth are going to gall and damage the face. You want a smooth face anyway, so on the opposite side I've actually left the teeth in place, and that will help it bind better to the body of the anvil. Now, just a bit of a belt and braces thing going on here. I will actually cut some notches to act as fixing teeth into the sides of the face. That's just to ensure that it does in fact stick to the body when I want it to. So I will then heat the body up and keep the face cool, and I'll drop a bit of borax on there just to help with the welding. Now I want the body to be hot and the face cool, because I want the body to come down on the face and the teeth not to be deformed by the heat. So there we go, it's fixed nicely, and I will get it up to a nice bright heat and flux the whole lot heavily. I usually always flux carbon steel welds, because carbon steel can be a bit of a bugger to weld up. So I will take some light blows to start with and tack the face together, followed by some heavier blows to actually weld the face, with hilarious consequences as you can see here. And I will then take a heat to weld up the sides and blend in the weld. I'm making sure that I'm hitting all over the area to be welded. So that is the face welded on. So with everything welded together, I will now clean off any excess flux and sand, and I will dress the shape of this anvil. Because as you can see, you do get a bit of deformation just from the welding process. And the most important thing is to quench off coming up to the face. Don't get the face anywhere near the water because you don't want to harden it just yet. And just upset that down on the anvil to make sure that it's nice and flat. Because a wobbly anvil is no use to man nor beast. And here we go. This is the body of the anvil all welded up. It's got a nice face on it of high carbon steel. Nice wrought iron body. Next week we will forge a bick on there and heat treat it. So as you can see, that weld has gone in beautifully. I'm quite proud of that. So the final thing I do is I will just stick it in the gas forge and normalise the whole thing. It doesn't need to be normalised at this stage, but with welds I like to be on the careful side. So thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, please consider donating on Patreon. And here is my current list of Patreon donors. Thanks a lot, guys. I couldn't be doing this without you. And I will see you all for episode 2. Bye.